Hey, Zane Griggs here. So, how do you get a country full of people eating toxic, inflammatory, cancer-causing food and make them think it's healthy, good for them, and keep buying it week after week? Easy. You get a lot of food industry money behind it to create a campaign to convince the government agencies and the health agencies, health authorities, those associations, those medical associations, to believe what you're telling them. You put them in a good mood, show them some pseudo-evidence, pseudoscience, and say, hey, this is what we want to get out to the public. And then there you go. It just spreads. And that's what's happened. We've got a country full of people scared of saturated fat, scared of dietary cholesterol, eating the cholesterol that they eat, and eating polyunsaturated vegetable oils, right? Polyunsaturated, unsaturated meaning unstable, meaning quick to oxidize, right? And quick to oxidize means inflammation. Plus your omega-6s, not omega-3s. Omega-3s, everyone knows, anti-inflammatory, fish oil. Omega-6s, inflammatory. We need a little bit of both, but we have a huge imbalance because of these polyunsaturated, so that's very inflammatory. And in the studies, these are showing up to be not only not helping people's heart disease, but actually hurting it because they're inflammatory, causing inflammation in the arteries, but also cancer causing, okay? Polyunsaturated fats are corn oil, canola oil, safflower oil, cottonseed oil, all forms, hydrogenated or not. They usually get toxic from their processing. They're toxic sitting on the shelf because they're unsaturated, and then people cook with them, which makes them even more toxic and oxidized. You get oxidation, rust in your body, inflaming cells, cancer. In the studies where they're trying to show, the heart disease, they're actually trying to show that it's helpful to heart disease, they're seeing high rates of cancer after 7 years of using the polyunsaturated fats, as opposed to people not eating necessarily healthy, but just eating a typical American diet with a lot of saturated fat. The people eating the unsaturated fat are getting cancer, starting to show high rates of cancer after 7 years of use. 7 years, it's not that long. So the PAM, the cooking oils, right? All those things, no bueno, not good. Okay, we want the saturated fats. We want the coconut oils, the palm oils, right? Butter, ghee, all those oils that are saturated, they're stable, they're not going to oxidize as quickly, and they certainly don't oxidize nearly as quickly when you're cooking them. Okay, so they're saturated. All the molecules are full. They don't have open places waiting for the other molecules, oxygen molecules to join. Excuse me. So it makes them very stable, not only on the shelf but in your pan. So those are actually the ones we want. Now what's funny is we got all these polyunsaturated fats in our supposedly healthy snacks. So the healthy bars, the cereal bars, all the bars and the foods and these supposedly healthy foods that were supposed to be, they're marked heart healthy, healthy this, healthy that, whatever. They got polyunsaturated fats in them. Pro-inflammatory, cancer-causing. So how did this happen? Well, most of us are probably too young to remember when all that happened with the polyunsaturated fats. Crisco and Procter & Gamble were behind it way back in the 50s and 60s with the AHA funding the American Heart Association, making them what they are, the big association that they are today. But many of us have actually lived through the Mediterranean diet boom, right? And I'm not knocking the Mediterranean diet, okay, if you do it right. What I'm saying is we've seen how that all of a sudden exploded. You guys many of you remember when all of a sudden the Mediterranean diet was hitting the, was all the craze, was the big news. Eat the Mediterranean diet, it's heart healthy. Many of us probably didn't hear how that happened. So a bunch of olive oil growers and olive oil producers, okay, and I'm not knocking olive oil. Again, olive oil is good stuff. I don't necessarily want to cook with it much because it's still somewhat unsaturated, but I put it all over my salads, okay? It's good stuff. But olive oil producers in Europe, okay, basically got together, they created their study, and they showed heart health benefits of eating this Mediterranean diet with a lot of this olive oil compared to another diet without much olive oil. And they call it a typical kind of standard diet as opposed to their Mediterranean diet. That's it was still indescript, in my opinion, what was the Mediterranean diet. So this is what happened. They created this study and they invited all of these doctors and researchers and probably some government authorities out to Spain for a week with their families to see this evidence of their Mediterranean diet. Meanwhile, they're on the coast of Spain for 7 days, bringing their families, enjoying this wonderful food in this wonderful atmosphere. They tell them, see how great this food is? And this is all, we have got science showing the benefits of this diet. So what happens? All of these agency people, researchers, and medical doctors go back from their 7-day stay in the Mediterranean saying, oh, you gotta try the Mediterranean diet. That's actually what happened. It was a 7-day conference on the Mediterranean coast eating all the fabulous food in Spain. Now, again, I'm not knocking it, but what's funny is that their Mediterranean diet that they used for their study was actually 40% fat. And it was compared to a low-fat diet, which is really kind of funny. So their comparison diet that they said was inferior to the Mediterranean diet was a low-fat diet. The Mediterranean diet was actually a higher fat, what we consider a higher fat diet in the United States, 40% fat, and actually had more meat in it than the diet they compared it to. So more meat, 40% fat, it was healthy. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, they didn't tell us that in the 80s because we were still thinking less meat, low fat. But the Mediterranean diet is actually truly higher fat and has more meat than your typical low fat diet that they've been trying to tell us to eat here in this country for, 6 decades now. So, all that to say, again, coconut oil, okay, butter, ghee, okay, palm oil if you want it, tallow, beef fat if you want, is better than corn oil, safflower oil, canola, and those other crazy vegetable oils and mixes that they process with chemicals and heat, and they're pretty much oxidized when they hit the shelf. So, have any questions? Feel free to post them below. If you know someone that could benefit from hearing this, is still kind of scared of the saturated fat and dietary cholesterol, which is a necessary nutrient. We need the dietary cholesterol. Hey, post their name in the comments below. Tag them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer questions. But let's get the word out. Let's let people know they need to enjoy their food. The food with more flavor, the food with more fat is actually the food that's good for us. Okay? And the food that's rancid, that is tasteless, is causing disease, we need to start taking that out of our cupboards, taking it out of their food choices, all right? So reading labels and making sure it's as little of it in our diet as possible. Talk to you later.